तब तक I'll talk. I'll give the head to it. This third ODI has already come to the center because we were waiting for this match like anything because there was a simple reason. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli was not playing. Though we won those two matches, but still we were waiting for these players to come. And today is the day. The D day has come, and Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli has made a comeback in the third ODI. And right now it is really very special because we all know this is going to be the last match which India is going to play before the World Cup. Though they are going to definitely have some warm up matches before the ODI World Cup, but this is going to be the match, last ODI match before the World Cup. So I'm here with me, Pratyay Tiwari, and we are going to discuss about the match. But before we started discussing about anything regarding this particular match, let's take a look at the head-to-head so that we can start off with on a great note to know what exactly is the number between India and Australia. So the head-to-head says India and Australia have played 148 matches so far, in which India has won 56, Australia has won 82, and there has been no result in 10 matches particularly. And if we talk about the toss, then the toss has taken place. Australia has won the toss and they have opted to bat first. Right now, if we talk about the problems with the India team right now, there are very less to right now mention because in this particular ODI, Rohit Sharma, you just have 12 players to choose from to get the 11 for today's match because a lot of players has been rested. A lot of players has like some players were like taking the rest because they should not get any injury before the World Cup, and we need to figure out our combination as well. So today, Pratyay, if we go by the number of matches in a team has played, the number of boxes they have ticked within the last 10 to 15 days, I think this has been an incredible journey for India itself because as fans we have built more confidence into the India team, and right now we are looking very much stable. Do you think the same?
Absolutely, yes. Because see, if you look at the last few couple of weeks or so, there has been plenty that has gone India's way, and rightly said, many boxes ticks. Because before the Asia Cup, they had a lot of concerns regarding injuries, regarding player availabilities. A couple of them still exist, but see, in a long tournament like World Cup, it's a situation that you really can't run away from. They are going to happen. So yes, Akshar Patel is out injured, but we are expecting that he'll be back. And even if in case he does not make it in time, you still have an R. Ashwin who is in great form because the couple of games that he has played, he has shown he has been in great rhythm. And just playing couple of games in the last 6 years has not really meant that he is out of touch as far as ODI cricket is concerned. So they have ample of backups, and I think India, as we always say, it's a team which is spoiled for choices. So players not being available is not going to be that big an issue unless it's someone like a Rohit, unless it's someone like a Bumrah or a Virat Kohli. Otherwise, you have ample of backup plans in place. The team that will be worried right now is Australia, for the simple reason that whenever they go into any big event, and specifically the ODI World Cup, five-time champions, so you have that performance pressure over your head because you have a legacy as a team. So many captains have done it, so you always have that burden over your head. And going inside this tournament, they have really been slightly awry as far as their plans are concerned because they're not looking in the best shape. The 11 is not yet finalized. They were leading the series at one point in time against South Africa 2-0, ended up losing that 3-2. Death bowling has been an issue, middle order collapses has been an issue, and then in this series, you are seeing what is happening at the current point in time because two games, two losses, and Indoor's loss was a very big one, 99 runs. That's a massive margin. So when you are going into the World Cup, you don't want yourself to have you don't want to have a streak of losses behind you because then it kind of starts to play onto your mind, maybe a little psychological disadvantage as well. So I think Australia right now would not be in a very good space, but if they can win this game and then they can do something better in the practice games because there are a couple of practice games as well for them, then I think it would do some good to their confidence. And of course, there will be an argument that they haven't played their first choice 11s in any of the matches so far because of injuries or unavailability issues. But I feel that once Mitchell Stark, Pat Cummins, Glenn Maxwell, the likes of them get added into this squad, it will wear an entirely different look. And then Australia will suddenly start looking like the team you need to be wary of. So I think they have to take that box. Whoever comes in today, because you're going to have Cummins and Stark and most probably Glenn Maxwell as well. If they come back, they will have some role to play and definitely look to books tick some boxes on a personal front as well, because when you come
Mhm.
after injury, it's never easy. So I think yes, Australia would be slightly more worried at this point in time.
Right, and right now, if we talk about the stadium where this match is going to happen, it is Saurashtra Cricket Stadium. If you go to the pitch report, it is again saying it is a flat track, just like Holkar Stadium we saw in Indore, and it was really difficult for Australia to understand the pitch. And right now, the report says that the stadium is favorable for batting with its flat surface. Pacers have claimed 21 wickets, while spinners have taken 17. In three ODIs at this ground, batting first won all three times. दो पैट कमिंस का यहाँ पर ये कहना है कि ये स्टेडियम उनके लिए थोड़ा उनको पता है स्टेडियम के बारे में, पहले भी मैचेस खेल चुके हैं, सो नो सरप्राइज देयर, बट ड्यूरिंग द टॉस ही हैज ओनली सेड there have been 5 changes in the score in the team for Australia this time. Stark and Maxwell are coming back. Tanveer is making a debut for Australia this time, and he's a new guy in the team right now. Now, if we talk about the Rohit Sharma's playing 11 today, it is going to be the changes is going to be Rohit is included, Virat is there, Kuldeep is also back from the last game. Ashwin is missing, Washington is in, Ishan is not well. He has got viral fever, so he misses out. And right now, I've also got this update over like in Indian team, there's a thing going on which is viral fever. A lot of players are taking it up, and they want them to be very well prepared and be very well rested before the game. It is again a huge setback. It can be a huge setback because the tournament is starting within like 7 to 8 days, and they should be having all the warm-up matches properly. And this viral fever thing, it is like right now not just them but the whole country is dealing with that, and everybody is taking a viral fever. But this is something which India should be aware of because medical conditions are the worst.
Definitely, Rachi. I think this monsoon just going, seasonal changes. These kind of things prop up that time. But I don't think it's something which India would be too worried about. Viral fever, it's not. It's not something which is going to keep you out for too long. And of course, players, their immunity and their fitness standards are pretty high, so we can expect them to be back, of course, and not meddle the World Cup plans as far as they are concerned. But I think yes, wholesale changes were expected from both the sides, of course, because India had already named that this is going to be the World Cup squad plus Washington Sundar and Ravi Ashwin as far as the third ODI is concerned. Rohit and Kohli, I think they already have got game time behind them. So this game is another opportunity just to get your competitive juices flowing, just get your body into the rhythm before the practice games. Because see, an international game, no matter what you say, is an international game, and this is
Right.
going to count. This is going to count towards the series, and you will definitely want to do something that you have never done: whitewash Australia in an ODI series. So that is, of course, going to be one of the key highlights for them as well. And it's a side against whom both these players have enjoyed their cricket a lot. Whether you look at Virat Kohli's numbers against Australia in any format, or you look at what Rohit Sharma has done to Australia over the years, this is one of those teams which brings the best out of them for the simple reason that they are class players and it's a class team. Australia always. So I think there is no better practice than this. And of course, for Australia as well, even during the start of the series, I remember Ratsi, in the first match we were discussing that how both the teams would want to field an 11 which would be closest to the World Cup 11. Now, India, of course, are not doing that because plenty of players right now are missing. There is no Gill, there's no Shami, no Akshar, no Shardul, no Hardik Pandya even. So, of course, they are not. This is not going to be a World Cup 11. This is not the team that you are going to see facing Australia in Chennai on October 8th. But I still feel that every player has got game time. Every player has at least one performance, at least one. Now, because Shreyas Iyer has also gotten a century, Surya Kumar Yadav has got a couple of half centuries on the trot. Rohit Sharma has got the runs in Asia Cup. Virat Kohli got a brilliant century against Pakistan. KL Rahul has done that as well. Century against Pakistan, a good knock against Sri Lanka. Then, of course, a couple of innings against Australia. So you are looking a lot settled, a lot settled. Like I still said that Australia is the team which has plenty of things to worry about because if you look at the middle order, the runs have been slightly dry against South Africa as well. You saw them collapsing on a couple of occasions. Yes, you can say that we bat until 10, we bat until 11, all of that. But see, on any given day, it's your top 7 who have to take the burden, take the onus of scoring the runs. On an odd occasion or two, maybe your number 8 or number 9 will chip in and give you some runs like we saw Labuschagne and Agar doing in the first ODI against South Africa. And even in the previous game, the partnership between Abbott. But
Yeah.
I still feel that if you're putting that sort of a pressure on your lower order to give you runs, then somewhere down the line you're asking too much from them because they have to perform with the ball as well. They are playing dual roles. So the players up top the order, who are responsible for, who are inside the team only for scoring runs. They are the ones who have to take the responsibility of scoring runs. So Australia would be eager to, get something out of their middle order. And of course, death bowling in the last two series. When you are going into a big tournament like the World Cup, you do not want such glaring issues to come up all of a sudden. Death bowling has been another of one of issues that Australia has been really plagued by, because in the previous game over 100 runs scored. Of course, it's a small amount and all of that, but still, you looked at how Indian bowlers managed to bowl. So
Right.
I think they have to take some inspiration from that. And even in South Africa, they were thwacked to all corners, because in the last 2-3 games, they conceded well over 100. There was this game in which Heinrich Klaassen got a big 100. In that, they had conceded over 170 runs in the last 10 overs. That's 17 runs and over. So, these are alarming numbers, and these are going to set some sort of a worry signs on your forehead if you are an Australian captain. And if you speak of their captain as well, Pat Cummins, he's been in and out, did not play in South Africa. Previous game, he was rested. So, you want your body to be in rhythm. You want yourself to be in rhythm, be match fit. And, because it's a World Cup, games are going to come thick and fast. You're going to play 9 ODIs, and it will just, come like really quick. So you won't have a lot of time to think and plan during the World Cup. Yes, there will be gaps, but you can't really leave things for too late, because in tournaments like the World Cup, 2-3 things that go wrong at the start of the tournament and your entire campaign is derailed. So I think Australia needs to take this game very, very seriously. Yes, on paper it might look like a dead rubber, but in my
Yeah.
opinion, far from a dead rubber, or anything of that sort for Australia at least, because India have won the series. They have their boxes ticked. If they look this as a practice game, they will still hold themselves in good stead. But Australia can't afford to do that.
Right. And sometimes I even feel that this particular series, India versus Australia, this is like in a long time I have been seeing this. This is the first time, maybe, when this series does not hold that much of importance for both the teams. But actually, this holds the importance for both the teams, because India and Australia, as I said before, कि ये वर्ल्ड कप से पहले का लास्ट फिक्चर है जो आप बायलेटरल खेल करके अपने आप को सेटल कर सकते हैं. बट सिर्फ इसका रिजल्ट इतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली यू आर एक्सपेरिमेंटिंग. आज भी हम देख सकते हैं कि 5 चेंजेस ऑस्ट्रेलिया के एंड से, इंडिया के एंड से भी 5 चेंजेस. सो दे ऑल आर एक्सपेरिमेंटेड फॉर अ बिगर कॉज, नॉट फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर सीरीज. सो राइट नाउ फोकस जरूर इधर नहीं है, बट ये स्टिल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस होल्ड करता है. बहुत सारे फैंस इस चीज को मेंशन कर रहे थे कि शायद ये सीरीज उतनी इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट एक्चुअली इट इज, एंड वी ऑल नो द रीजन. बट राइट नाउ आई हैव प्लेइंग 11 फॉर यू टू शेयर, कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया और इंडिया दोनों ही अपना कॉम्बिनेशन आज जो शेयर कर चुके हैं. आई एम गोना शो यू कि आज का क्या 11 देखने को हमें मिलेगा ग्राउंड पर, सौराष्ट्र क्रिकेट स्टेडियम पर. Okay, now if we talk about the playing 11, then definitely Indian side say, if we see Rohit Sharma, the captain, then afterwards Virat Kohli, then हम देख सकते हैं श्रेयस अय्यर, then KL Rahul, Surya Kumar Yadav, Ravindra Jadeja, Washington Sundar, Kuldeep Yadav, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj and Prasidh Krishna. Now if we go to the Australian playing 11, तो वहां पर जो combination है वो भी आपको दिखा देते हैं. It is going to be David Warner, Mitchell Marsh, Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne, Alex Carey, Glenn Maxwell, Cameron Green, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, तनवीर सांगा और जॉश हेजलवुड. अभी एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्वर्सेशन है प्रत्यय की. पीपल वर सेइंग कि इंडिया शुड गो विद, नहीं, नॉट शुड गो विद, दे वर कंफ्यूज्ड बेसिकली, कि सिंस हमें पता है प्रीवियस मैच में श्रेयस अय्यर ने क्या करके दिखाया है, एंड डेफिनेटली ही इज द नंबर 4 फॉर इंडिया फॉर सो मेनी इयर्स, एंड वी हैव बीन वेटिंग फॉर हिम टू कम बैक फ्रॉम द इंजरी, एंड ही हैज डन इट इन अ फ्लॉलेस वे एट द परफेक्ट टाइम, एट द राइट टाइम एज वेल. बट नाउ द क्वेश्चन कम्स कि विल वी सी ईशान किशन इन द 11, बिकॉज इसके पहले तो हम उनको फिट कर दे रहे थे नंबर 4 पर, वो कहीं भी फ्लोट कर रहे थे. जरूरत पड़ रही है ओपनिंग कर रहे हैं, जरूरत पड़ रही है वो नंबर 4 पर आ जा रहे हैं, जरूरत पड़ी नंबर 5 पर आ जा रहे हैं. But now we have got this 11 very well sorted. Do you see Ishan Kishan's place within that 11?
See, his place has been threatened to some extent. I won't deny the fact, because of course KL Rahul, the manner in which he has come back, because Ishan Kishan was always being looked at as your backup option, because of the injury to Rishabh Pant in the horrific car crash that he suffered. Unfortunately, it is because of that reason that Kishan is even in the reckoning, because otherwise you perhaps would not have been even looking at him at this point of time. So we always say कि someone's loss is someone's gain, किसी का नुकसान किसी का फायदा बन जाता है. So I think that unfortunate injury for Rishabh Pant, the untimely injury, and it's a long one, because keeping him out of the game for nearly a year at least. So that gave Ishan Kishan an opportunity. What I liked about Kishan is that he has controlled the controllables really well. It's something that cricketers always talk about, that जो आपके हाथ में है आप उसको सबसे अच्छे से करें, और बाकी चीजें आप मैनेजमेंट, सिलेक्शन और भगवान पे छोड़ दें, क्योंकि उन पे आपका बस नहीं है, स्पेसिफिकली व्हेन यू आर प्लेइंग इन इंडिया, because we have
Yeah.
discussed sitting here n number of times, Ratsi, that it's not easy being a selector, it's not easy being an Indian captain, because there are so many options at all times that you have readily available कि आप हमेशा, देयर विल बी अ टेम्पटेशन कि मैं इसको खिला लूं, ये मुझे लेफ्ट हैंडेड ऑप्शन देता है, विकेट कीपर भी है, बट केएल राहुल भी अच्छे फॉर्म में है, सेंचुरी मारी पाकिस्तान के अगेंस्ट, अभी भी रन्स कर रहा है, एक्सपीरियंस बहुत है, ओडीआई क्रिकेट में अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस किया, उनको खिला लूं, या सूर्य कुमार यादव को खिला लूं क्योंकि वो उस तरीके से गेम को चेंज कर सकते हैं। तो आपके पास में हमेशा बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस हैं, लेकिन अगेन अनदर रिपीटेड स्टेटमेंट, आपको खिलाने 11 ही हैं, एंड दोज 11 हैव टू बी your absolute best. You have to back them, you have to feel that okay, this is the best that we can do on a given day. And of course this selection dynamic will change a little bit, so, you know, keeping in mind कि आप किसके अगेंस्ट खेल रहे हैं, किस टाइप के ट्रैक पे खेल रहे हैं, because I think selection wise इंडिया में जितनी वैरायटी है, I'm talking about the pitches, in that aspect, I don't think any other country is going to offer you that much variety. You know, whether you go to Australia, England, there is a more of a theme that you see there, and almost all of the tracks. But in India, the entire dynamic change when you travel from one place to another. You know, the ground dimensions would come into place. The kind of climate conditions you have will come into place. So it's a very varied sort of a culture that you have as far as the pitches are concerned. So that is why the selection of every team is going to be dynamic. And I'm not saying that Ishan Kishan will definitely not feature in any of the 11s. But at this point of time, the pecking order has KL Rahul above him. Not to forget the fact that, see, when Virat and Rohit were rested, the captaincy baton was given to KL Rahul. So that also tells and gives you an idea that where he stands in the hierarchy. So he is one of those players whom you consider as a leadership option as well. You're definitely not going to bench him or, you know, rest him unless there's a niggle or there's an injury. What India would be chuffed about, what India would be really happy about, is the fact that they have someone like an Ishan Kishan who can, you know, float around from the top to bottom, can play at number 4 or 5 as well, can open the innings as well. And at both the places, what he gives you is a left-handed option. Because up top, if he's opening with Rohit or Gill, he is giving you a left-hand, right-hand combination. And in the middle order as well, you always need that, because you do not have too many left-handers. Akshar and Jadeja are there, but then they are your bowling all-rounders, not your batting options. And he's giving you a wicket-keeping option as well, Kishan. So I think overall, as a utility player, he's a very compact player. You know, got in a double century as well. So you know that he can bat. There's no question on his credentials as far as batting is concerned. And right from the moment he has been in the team, you know, the game against Pakistan that was washed out, he scored a brilliant 80 alongside Hardik Pandya. So again, you know, forged a partnership and saved India from some sort of a shame that might have come onto them because they lost wickets in quick succession. So I think for this kind of situation, Kishan is definitely a go-to man. But if you talk about the current pecking order, it has to be Kohli at 3, Iyer at 4, and KL Rahul at 5. That is the way to go. So I don't see Kishan as the first choice option. But yes, he is definitely a player whom you would see playing the World Cup in at least a few of the games. If there is anything wrong with the middle order, if there is anything wrong with KL Rahul, he is definitely your backup keeper. So you are going to go to him.
Which means this is also going to be like in World Cup, India is going to be all right-hand batsmen from the starting till the middle order.
Of course. That's one of the major concerns because of which you kind of wanted, you know, to have a floater like Ishan Kishan. Because what it also allows you to do is that if in case you are stuck in a situation, and we have heard that, you know, this management, Rohit and Agarkar, they have been hell-bent on, you know, flexibility. That is something that Rohit Sharma hasn't tired speaking about, that they are not expecting batters to, you know, stick to a template that, okay, if I'm a top order batter, I am going to only bat up top and I'm not going to play in the middle order if the need arises. And if you look at this point in time, whether you look at Surya Kumar or you see Kishan or you see KL, or even to some extent even Shreyas Iyer, all of these players, you know, their batting position has constantly been meddled. Now, of course, there are two schools of thoughts. You know, one would say that no, you do not, you know, chop and change too much as far as the batting positions are concerned. Another would say that, you know, in the modern world, in the current scenario, you need to have that flexibility. Why? Because, you know, there are going to be certain situations when you will be needed. You won't have an option, when you will be forced to, you know, make changes to your batting option when you're batting order. And if at that point of time there is some sort of a stringency or, you know, lack of flexibility in the players' mind कि मैं ऊपर ही खेलता हूँ तो मैं ऊपर ही खेलूंगा, मैं 4 पे नहीं बल्लेबाजी करता हूँ, मैं ओपनर हूँ तो मैं 4 पे नहीं आऊंगा, इन दैट सिचुएशन आपके कप्तान और आपके मैनेजमेंट फंस जाएंगे, क्योंकि अब आप कहाँ से चौथे नंबर का या 5वें नंबर का प्लेयर लाएंगे. इसलिए मुझे लगता है पिछले कुछ समय में इंडिया ने backfire भी किया उस plan ने, because when you constantly chop and change the batting positions, it does not allow a player to be settled in. क्योंकि जब आप opening करते हैं, माइंडसेट बिल्कुल अलग होता है, गेम के डायनामिक्स बिल्कुल अलग होते हैं, आपको गेम सेट करना पड़ता है, टोन बनानी पड़ती है, नई बॉल खेलते हैं, फील्डिंग रिस्ट्रिक्शंस मिलती हैं. जब आप मिडिल ऑर्डर में जाते हैं, चीजें बिल्कुल बदल जाती हैं, क्योंकि अब आपको किसी ने और ने टोन सेट करके दिया जिसको आपको कैरी फॉरवर्ड करना है एक अच्छे स्ट्रॉन्ग फिनिश की तरफ. फील्डिंग रिस्ट्रिक्शन अलग होंगे, बॉल थोड़ी सी पुरानी हो चुकी होगी, बॉलर्स अलग होंगे, तो वो सारी चीजें आपको एडजस्टमेंट टेक्निकल और मेंटल करने पड़ते हैं. But I think kudos to India for the manner in which they have built in floaters in this order, because all of these batters, the greatest strength that they have apart from their batting credibility is that they can float around, they can bat at number 3, they can bat at number 4. If the need arises, they can be thrown in and ask कि game आप finish करके आइए, आप आखिरी के 10 ओवर में जाके play slam bang, hit around all of the park and score some quick runs. And if the need arises, you can even ask them to open. So I think this is something which will definitely give India an edge over other teams who are not so flexible with their batting order. So it's the need of the hour, and I think India would definitely be happy about what kind of plans they have been able to put in place as far as the World Cup is concerned.
Right now, अभी थोड़ी देर के लिए मैंने और प्रत्यय ने step in किया था in the shoes of Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid, and I felt really anxiety right now because it is that difficult. You don't know, like you have all the options and then you have nothing because you have to go by the combinations which is already there and you have already experimented a lot. But then if you're losing out on some player, this is going to be again, as you rightly mentioned, Ishan Kishan is a luxury that we have, but we simply cannot use him because we already have our orders sorted and we cannot just simply use him. And he has showed himself and his game time and again, and every time he proves it that he is the person he should be in your 11. But again, you don't have space for him. Ultimately, you have to play 11 players. That's the bottom line, and you have to really take care of that. I'm sure Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid must be doing very good with the meditation part as well, because they are like very chill and cool, and we are having this anxiety only for like 5 minutes, and this was the headache. But right now, I have something to show you, and that is the players to watch out from Australia and India end. So if we talk about like India's player to watch out, if Virat Kohli is there, then definitely he is the player to watch out, because the way he plays the game, especially in ODI cricket, if we talk about, then he has played 279 matches. 13,127 runs he has scored already. 57.38 is his average. Strike rate is 93.79. 65 50s and 47 hundreds under his name. And now if we talk about Australian player to watch out, that is going to be Steven Smith. Though he scored a duck in the last match, but how gritty he is, he never throws his wicket. He's definitely a player to watch out from Australian side. He must be making a comeback, and India is some place where he loves to play. So आज के मुकाबले में हमने Steven Smith और विराट कोहली को as player to watch out देखा. There is a question in the comment section before I ask you the golden question. That is Shami or Siraj. What's your pick between the two? Asking the expert. So, sir, expert Mr. Pratyay Tiwari, please tell us who, according to you, is going to be a better choice, a Shami or Siraj?
See, we did touch upon this in the previous show when we were talking about before the second ODI, and I am going to stick because that is what I believe, that 11 best players. In your 11 best players, yes, of course, Shardul Thakur, nothing against him. He is the boy with the golden arm, Lord for a reason, because every single time he goes out, जब विकेट्स नहीं मिल रहे होते हैं, आप शार्दुल ठाकुर को बॉल दे दीजिए, वो आपको विकेट लाके दे देंगे. सो ही इज दैट काइंड ऑफ बॉलर. बट स्किल सेट वाइज you cannot compare, Siraj or Shami and Shardul Thakur can't be kept in the same bracket bowling wise. This is something which even Shardul would agree to, because he is not a bowler, a proper bowler or a first choice bowler. The reason you are perhaps picking Shardul is because you want to extend your batting lineup and give yourself a little bit of batting depth, have a number 8. But what I would personally feel is that I feel that अगर आपके 7 बल्लेबाज एक दिन पे नहीं चले हैं, तो आपका 8वां 200 रन बना के आपको मैच नहीं जिताएगा. ऑन अ वेरी ऑड ओकेजन, मे बी वन ऑफ चांस, शायद वो एक 50-60 करके आपको एक स्कोर दे सकता है जो आपको शायद एक रिस्पेक्टेबल टोटल तक ले जाएगा. बट इफ योर 7 बैटर्स हैव फेल्ड, your 8th is not going to be the Herculean who will come and save the game for you. So in that sense, I personally do not buy into the logic of seating someone out of Shami's caliber, because look at what he's capable of. Keeping the seam upright, bowling in the first few overs in the power play, gives you wickets there, can operate at the death, and if he is given a chance in the middle overs, he can bowl there as well. So he is a bowler who can operate in every phase of the game. Plenty of experience, and he has certain variations up his skill. On his day, he has the capability to run through any batting lineup in the world. So if you're asking someone to sit like him, it is not something which is a great example of wisdom for me. So I would definitely go in with both Siraj and Shami. and of course Jasprit Bumrah as well. So these three become your three-pronged pace attack. Accordingly, then you can slot in your spinners, because Kuldeep is definitely going to be one of them. And then you have the question amongst Aksar or Shardul, whom you are going to play, depending on to the conditions, of course. That if it's a spin ground, then you play the spin all-rounder. If it's a ground where you need more pace, then you go with Shardul. Not to forget the fact that Hardik Pandya is there as well. Then in that situation, you would go with Hardik Pandya. But how the management thinks right now is that they go with the two premium pacers. And because how Siraj, in the recent past, in the last 1.5 years, the kind of performance he has shown in every format of the game, including the even IPL, that is why he has suddenly gone up in the pecking order. So now it becomes Bumrah and Siraj as your two first choice attack pacers. Shami sits out, and then you play perhaps Shardul, and alongside with him the spinners and the all-rounders. So I think that is the way you are going to see it in the World Cup, because that is how the management thinks. Unless they suddenly come out with a surprise and tell us that वो हम पीछे जो भी कर रहे थे, that was perhaps to fool everyone. Now we are playing all three seamers of us. If it's that kind of a situation, then it's a different thing. But the plan has been to play Shardul Thakur, and I don't think that he's going to go anywhere. So I belong to the other school of thought, which does not align with the management's philosophy of playing your two fast bowlers and a batting all rounder to extend your batting depth. I feel that all three should play, but that is not going to happen. So you will definitely see Shardul at the expense of Mohammad Shami.
Pratik, another curiosity is there. I'm going to show you again the playing 11, since Ishan Kishan is not well and Shubman Gill is already rested. Are we going to see Rohit and Virat opening for India today?
That seems likely. Because who else would you then open up with? Unless you want to again experiment. Because see, this game is your complete go green signal. Do whatever you want to do, because the series is in the bag. And it's an international game. You have a couple of warm-ups as well. So no matter what you want to do, you can express yourself freely. Try for any experiment if it has to be done. This is the last opportunity for that. Although I'm not in favor of experimenting at this point in time, because it's too late. This is the time when you should have everything settled, and India have that. I'm not even saying that they don't have it, because the kind of performances we have seen in the Asia Cup and even in this series, it's been pretty solid as far as the team performance is concerned. But if there's one sort of a inclination for you to try out something, for instance, even Washington Sundar, another man whom we can have our eyes upon, because his inclusion in another very valuable player who can again give you runs with the bat lower down the order, and a very
but at the cost of Ravi Ashwin, Pratik, that is the big question, because you are you're making Ravi Ashwin sit over Washington Sundar. Do you see this as a good decision?
I see it only because this is the last game. This is the last international game that you're playing. Ashwin, he has already played the previous two games and looked in good rhythm. 3 wickets in Indore, 1 wicket for 47 in Mohali, and those 4 wickets he showed. He showed completely that he's not out of touch or anything at sort. If you give him the ball in the World Cup, he is going to give you runs. He is going to give you wickets, and not to forget the fact, Ratsi, that in Indore, where there were 400 runs scored by one side, another side ended up getting close to that, 200, 250 runs on a ground in which close to 600-700 runs were scored. Ashwin was the most economic bowler, and his economy was really good. So bowling is one thing. Yeah, bowling and bowling, the manner in which he bowled, is two different things, because it wasn't a case that he just came in and just delivered a few overs, did not get wickets and just went out. And you can say that, okay, fine, he is not in his rhythm because he has come after so long. It wasn't that kind of a game for him. He picked 3 wickets, 3 crucial wickets, one lucky one of David Warner, which we even discussed, that wasn't a wicket, but he got it nonetheless. But the dismissal of Labuschagne, the dismissal of Josh Inglis in the previous game, that is where he kind of broke Australia's back. Because otherwise they were going for the kill, because there was only one way they could have played in Indore. If you're chasing 400, what else do you have as an option apart from, hitting every ball out of the park? So I think that showed his match-winning instinct is very much alive. And that is why I think that maybe management would have thought that, okay, fine, we have already seen him in 2 games. And you also have a couple of practice games to play. And he is not a part of your original 15. So
yeah, exactly. I was coming on that point, Pratyay, since we know Akshar Patel is not well, he's injured. So we were thinking we might see Ravi Ashwin in place of Akshar Patel in the ODI squad. But by this, if Washington Sundar is making a comeback in place of Ravi Ashwin in the 3rd ODI, there is a high chance that we see Washington Sundar making a comeback in place of Akshar Patel than Ravi Ashwin. Do you think this way?
I don't think so, for the reason that, see, experience-wise, Ravichandran Ashwin is someone whom you are definitely going to rely upon 9 days out of 10. no taking away of credit from Washington, but he has been an injury-prone player in the last 2 3 years. He's been injured way too many times, and because of that, it's been unfortunate that he has not been able to cement his position in the team. Because he comes in, he performs, he does well, no doubt about that. He's one of those bowlers who will definitely give you wickets in the power play. And again, a bowler who is fearless, and no matter whom you ask him to bowl against, he will go and he will back his game and get you wickets or bowl economically. So he's a proper talent, and again can extend your batting lineup as well. But I still feel Ashwin, for the kind of experience he has and the big game temperament that in World Cup, that is what separates boys and men. The temperament is something which will give you an edge over other players. So in the big games, if you're playing in a World Cup final or if in a semi-final or a crunch game that upon which relies your qualification, in those kind of situations, you would perhaps naturally feel more inclined towards a bowler like Ashwin or an all-rounder like Ashwin over Washington. But I think that he is another player who can definitely make his place his own. But for that, he has to be fit. He has to be consistently in the team. That is something where Sundar has consistently failed because of injuries. So if it comes to a shootout between Ashwin and Sundar, if Akshar is not fit, of course, Akshar is your first choice player and he is in your original 15. So if he is fit, unfortunately, even Ashwin will have to sit out. It will be a shame, but there is no other option left. But if it comes down to Ashwin versus Sundar shootout for this Akshar spot, then I think Ashwin is definitely going to take the edge because of how much cricket he has played. And even in these two games, not the bowling conditions were not very conducive, because in Indore specifically, the reason I'm bringing that match again and again is because it's the flattest of grounds, a belter of a track, a good, potent, aggressive batting lineup like Australia's, and picking 3 wickets there for just the amount of runs that he conceded, bowling economically, that was a very, very confidence and morale boosting performance, not just as a player but as a captain and as a coach as well. So I think there Ashwin will definitely take the edge over Sundar. But I still feel that if Akshar Patel is fit, all this discussion will go into the garbage bin, and then of course, Akshar is going to be your player in the 11. So let's see how it goes. Most likely that is the way forward, because Akshar is going to be fit in time. That is what we have heard and read. So yeah, that's what the way is to go forward.
Yeah, it should be this way. We are hoping that Akshar Pillai should make a comeback as early as possible, because we are really missing him in the ODI squad. Now, thank you so much, Pradeep, for joining me for this discussion. As match has already started, David Warner, Mitchell Marsh have started their own attack, and so is Jasprit Bumrah. We're going to definitely make a comeback after the match to discuss all about cricket. Definitely the ODI World Cup's last match for India. So it is going to be a cracker. Thank you so much, Pradeep, and thank you so much each and everyone who is watching this live. Let's make a comeback after the match, and thank you so much for watching CricTrackers in the Air.